Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Under the Hood, where kids can be pundits too. I'm Eli Karp, editor-in-chief, along with a nice, healthy panel. Today we have Julia Sorgi back for more, Jake Ostern, Gannon Hannavold, Happy, Rock the Barn, and Danimal. Lots to get into today on this Saturday night, August, I think it's the 27th, somewhere around that. So, last night, Friday night, Dallas Cowboys played the Seattle Seahawks, and before the game could really get started, Tony Romo managed to do something that only Tony Romo can manage to do, which is get hurt. And a lot of Cowboys fans, our friend Spentano, was very frightened by the fact that he was down, had a little trouble getting up, but got off on his own power and said that he was fine. The coaches just chose to hold him out of the game for precautionary reasons. And then today we find out he has a broken bone in his back, and he is now out 6 to 10 weeks. Happy, you being the Giant fan, let's hear from you on what you think.
the the Giants fan in me is ecstatic. The human being in me feels awful for him. He's injured again. He's been injured. He's injured his neck, his back, his shoulder, ribs, hand. That's so much, and it's just terrible. But I gotta go back. This really affects the NFC East now. The Cowboys are 7-20 overall with Tony Romo injured. 1-11 last season. So Dak Prescott has been fantastic. 39, 50, over 400, I don't know, bunch of passing yards, 5 touchdowns. But I just have to say, the Cowboys will probably finish in the bottom of the NFC East now because they have not proven to me that they could win without Tony Romo.
Even below the Eagles.
Maybe.
Maybe
That's debatable.
That is bold. I can say if you want to check out Sports Broadcasting Camp's YouTube channel, you can look at my NFL preview show along with Rock the Barn and one other who is not here. And I did say that if Tony Romo stayed healthy, they were the favorite, but he is no longer healthy, so I have to think that the Giants have a shot, even though they have not looked so good this preseason. Rock the Barn, you really couldn't give a darn about Tony Romo's injury because the Jets aren't playing the Cowboys this year. But what do you think this means long term when it comes to Tony Romo's job security? I mean, he's in his mid-30s. What does this hold?
Well, he's played 10 seasons now, and it's, like Happy said, it's been proven that with Tony Romo in, the Cowboys have played much more efficiently. But in 2008, he got hurt. 2010, he got hurt. 2013, 2014, 2015, and now in the preseason of 2016, it causes a lot of risk going in with Prescott as quarterback. And if he can play well, it clearly shows that Romo may have his job away. And I think if Prescott has at least a decent season showing that he has the caliber to play better than other quarterbacks have when Romo got hurt, I think he might start next year.
Okay. Tony Romo is fragile as glass, and the words of Stephen A. Smith. Danimal, is this Tom Brady 2.0?
Well, what do you exactly mean by that?
Well, Drew Bledsoe, obviously the presumed starter for that season for the Patriots, he just went down with a season-ending injury, and
Yeah, I got you now. I mean, Prescott is just a rookie. I mean, he hasn't even played a snap of regular season football, but I mean, he's looked good in the preseason.
either at Brady.
It's kind of a my audio cut out there. I couldn't hear you, but it's kind of a risk putting a rookie in that quick and just like take the reins of the team. But I mean, he definitely has some potential, and Romo has a reserved spot as the reserved parking spot at the hospital. So I mean, might as well give Prescott like some time out there.
Okay, Cowboys doctors certainly making their money once again this season. Gannon, when it comes to looking at Tony Romo, what jumps out at you? Is it that because the Cowboys, after Kellen Moore went down, their backup, this before the preseason even started, with a broken leg, they kind of were like, okay, Tony, don't get hurt. We really don't have anybody. But Dak Prescott's performance really has really opened some people's eyes. And Jerry Jones even said, "Well, I think we kind of solved our problem." In your mind, if you were Jerry Jones or Jason Garrett, would you be going out and looking for somewhat of a veteran backup to just fill the void for a few games, or are you going to ride Prescott?
Well, we're definitely looking at you as a. If you're the Cowboys, you definitely have to look at somebody to back up Dak Prescott, because right now I think the only other quarterback they even have on the team is Jameel Showers, and he's just been a practice squad guy. I think honestly they have to go out and get somebody to put behind Prescott. But to me, Prescott is the starter. He's proven he's gone against first-string defenses in the preseason. Some say, oh, it's just preseason. He's played against some of the top defenses, and he's ran with the starters, and he's done well. So I think Prescott has earned that starting job, and he's got it. But taking a step back and looking at it less logistically and as a team, from a team point of view, I'd like to look at it just from Tony Romo's point of view, and I think he's got to retire. Just for the sake of his own well-being. He's not going to be able to walk when he's 50 if he keeps going like he is right now. He's 36 years old. He's approaching the eclipse of his career, and I think he's got to say no more and just retire after the season.
Okay, you heard it here. Tony Romo has to retire. Gannon going with the Merrill Hodge route there. We're going to switch gears for a bit. We're going to go to Julia here, talking a little bit of just general NFL preseason. Julia, you know lots about the Jets. They obviously lost a thriller tonight in the Snoopy Bowl at MetLife in Week 3 of the preseason. But overall, what have you seen from the Jets this preseason that either makes you confident or wary of the upcoming season?
Actually, hold on. I just want to say that according to the NFL, the Jets didn't lose that game. NFL posted a picture. The final score says 21-20, but the caption is close one, but the New York Jets come out with the victory, so I just want to say that we won that game. Anyways, turning corners now from not being stupid like the NFL right now. But if you look at the Jets right now, the starting quarterback is going to be Week 1. It's definitely going to be Fitzpatrick. We signed him for a reason. You have to go with Fitz. There's no other way. You gave him $12 million. If he doesn't start, then I don't know. Someone needs to start running their front office because he needs to start. Then if you look at quarterbacks, if you look at who's going to be that backup for Fitzpatrick, if you talk to 10 Jets fans, they're all going to tell you that they'd rather see Bryce Petty. Nobody wants to see Geno Smith start. Nobody likes Geno Smith. He is too immature. He has shown in the past that he hasn't grown up. He's missed meetings. His decision making on the field is not great. I know he has flashes of brilliance. I know he's athletic, but it's just the way that he hasn't grown up yet, which it kills me. And I know he could be great, but he's just not. And I never want to see Geno Smith back out there again. Now, I think Bryce Petty has shown some real brilliance. I really think that Todd Bowles should make Bryce Petty QB2. And this preseason, I don't know why, but they haven't really given us much to look for with Christian Hackenberg except tonight, which he did pretty well. He did give up an interception at the end of the game to, I forget his name, someone on the Giants defense, which allowed the Giants to come back and win. But I don't think they gave enough practice to Christian Hackenberg, which kind of stinks because that's what the preseason is for trying to figure out players. But hopefully we'll never see Geno Smith again because that would stink.
Okay, I never want to see Geno Smith on a football field again. That sounds like an article title to me. But I'm going to go on just a brief rant here about the New York Giants because they might have eked out the win tonight, but they're now 1-2 on the preseason, and I try not to read into the preseason because the Giants have put together some decent preseasons in recent memory. One that was 5-0 when they played in the Hall of Fame game, and all that's amounted to has been 4 straight 6-10 seasons. So I really try not to read into that. But when I look at this team, it worries me because the offense is supposed to be the strong side of the ball. The defense was spent a lot of money on, but they're supposed to be average. They're supposed to kind of just hold down their part of the fort, and the offense is supposed to take care of the work. But it's been the other way around. The defense has been decent, and they've actually been pretty good. But the offense has been nowhere to be found. They're dormant. The offensive line has been absolutely abysmal. You could put you can put five of the six people on the panel right now, and they would block the zone scheme better than the Giants are right now. I mean, the O line was not awful last year. Run wise, no, they were not good, but they gave up very few sacks in pass protection. So it kind of makes me wonder what happened to this O line that is now a few years older and supposed to gel. Eli Manning has had absolutely no sense of consistency or success this preseason. They have not been able to run the ball, and I like to think that the Giants are going to be able to flip the script week one against Dak Prescott and the Cowboys now, but I'm not sure they can. The defense might be able to slow down Dak, but since they're playing a quarterback that they have virtually no tape on and who has been taking all of the snaps this preseason, I'm a little worried going into week one that facing a backup quarterback with a fiery offense of the Giants, I don't know if they're going to be able to get it done. So I'm a little concerned about the Giants and where they're heading early this season after a lot of excitement and confidence coming out of the Meadowlands. So that is my little brief rant for this segment. Anyone else want some input on their team before we move to the MLB? Rock the barn.
Well, I have a question for you, Eli.
Yes.
Say we didn't do our draft August 22nd. We did it after the preseason. Would you still draft Eli Manning?
That is one good question there. I took a lot of crap for taking Eli Manning last year in the draft. I got a lot of faces that were, oh, he's not going to do good. Why are you taking Eli? He's overpaid, $20 million a year. I'm not going to disagree that he might be a little overpaid. And you know what? This was his dress rehearsal. He's not going to play anymore in the preseason. But the draft date does have a lot to do with things. I am a little wary of my decision to pick Eli Manning now. Obviously, I'm obviously not going to quit on him early, and I'm not going to quit on him now. And I'll see what he has to do. But based on this preseason performance, where they couldn't even get 10 yards against a Jets backup defense, it makes me wonder what's going on with them. It's not just an Eli problem. It's more of an O-line problem, too. And this O-line shouldn't be regressing. So I will have to look back and see where this Eli decision goes. Because I typically like to wait to draft a quarterback, and I wasn't going to go up and get one. So, good question there, Rock the Barn. It'll be kind of a wait-and-see approach.
Okay.
Gannon, do you want to get something in about the Vikings here?
I'm just going to say watch out. A lot of people are overlooking them, which is crazy to me because considering the fact that they won the division last year, perhaps one of the hardest divisions of football, two of the most highly contested teams, certainly between the Vikings and Packers. And they were one terribly sad missed field goal away from being in the divisional round. And also, two of their losses in the regular season were by 3 points and just by a fumble with less than a minute to go against the Cardinals and the Broncos. So they were a team that could have been 13-3 last year if their offensive line didn't make mistakes. This year they brought in Alex Boone, Andre Smith, a veteran tackle from the Bengals. They drafted a few guys for more depth. I think this year they could be a team to watch out for, maybe to get a first-round bye in the tough NFC.
Okay, obviously, if I could, with our superior technology we have on our Google Air Hangout, I would bring up the clip of Al Michaels saying, "And the kick is no good." But considering I don't have that, I'll just do it myself, and hopefully that serves its purpose. Dana, well, before we move on, I know you probably have something you want to say about the Patriots as they came up with that huge dub over the Panthers last night. What did you think of Jimmy Garoppolo's brief performance?
Jimmy Garoppolo actually didn't do that well yesterday, but on the bright side, the defense has played the best they've played in the preseason or like in the regular season in a long time. 2 interceptions against Cam Newton, one of the league's best. We shut him out for the fourth quarter, I'm pretty sure, and that as a Patriots fan, that's just great to see. Obviously, we lost Gerard Mayo and other key defensive players, but I'm glad to see the defense is still strong. Garoppolo got out to a shaky start last night, but Brady just came in and threw like a bomb to Chris Hogan. We scored, not a big deal. And Garoppolo kind of did better after that, and I'm glad to see that. Hopefully he can excel in week one against Arizona. It's going to be tough, but I think he can do it.
Okay, and if there's one thing, I guess, that gives me a little confidence in the Giants' dormant offense, it is that Cam Newton really played, for a decent amount of time in yesterday's game, about roughly a half, not a little more, and Carolina had about as much success against the Patriots D as the Giants have had against the Jets D in this whole preseason. So there's maybe a little bit of symmetry between them, although I will not compare Eli Manning to the reigning MVP Cam Newton. So now moving on to the MLB. Obviously, only 1 month left here of this just 6 month, 7 month drag we call baseball. The New York Yankees, who everybody seemed to write off at the trade deadline as sellers, are right back in the mix. It's good to see. I know all those Met fans, those Red Sox fans, those Blue Jay fans, and those Reds, Oriole fans, they just absolutely hate it. But for once, the Yankees made the right call, one, on selling, because they weren't going to go anywhere with the roster they had, and they weren't going to upgrade and forfeit another 5 years of prospects just to have another 1 year of make the wild card game and lose in that one-game playoff. But now they cut A-Rod. Everyone's coming up, all the young guys. Gary Sanchez, 11 home runs in 23 games, and the Yankees are only 2.5 games back of the second wild card spot, and they have now taken 2 of the 3 games against the Orioles. Obviously, the third one will be played tomorrow, soon to be today, as it's almost midnight. But this is exciting for Yankee fans. I mean, we didn't expect it to happen this quickly, but Jake Oster, I know you're itching to get in on this show. I have to hear from you.
The big change of the season was that Tampa Bay series. It was right at the end of our week at camp. Didn't play really well. Those 3 games really meant what we were going to do at the trade deadline. Trading away Miller, trading away Chapman. How do I want to say it? Just rebuilding for the future. Gary Sanchez has been the story so far this season. Fastest player to hit, I believe, 10 home runs. I think that's right, 10 or 11. But anyways, he's been playing really well. Aaron Judge has been playing really well. Tyler Austin has been getting into the mix at first base. Just the baby Bombers, they've just been really executing, and they really have put the Bronx Bombers, the Pinstripes, back in the playoff race.
Okay, now Jake, I gotta ask you this question. They're only 2.5 out of the wild card. Obviously, it seems like they're not going to win the AL East because you have a logjam of 3 teams at the top, and Toronto and Boston are playing some pretty good baseball. But do you think they're going to make the playoffs?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I'm just looking at the standings right here. Detroit is 1 game back of the second wild card spot. The Astros and the Mariners are 2 games back, and we're just a half game behind Houston and Seattle. I think it's possible, but it's just a tough road because Baltimore has been in a skid so far. They got destroyed by the Yankees today and Friday. Boston won tonight. Boston had a tough game last night. But I think it's a real possibility that the Yankees could get a wild card spot. I just think Baltimore just has to lose some more games, and obviously the 3 teams ahead of us have to go on a huge skid.
Well, I mean, if the Yankees, they only have to make up about 3 games in length, so I think they can do that. Rock the Barn, the other Yankee fan here, do you think the Yankees are going to steal a wild card spot?
If they keep playing like they do, they definitely have a huge chance. I think right now, yes, but the Yankees so far this season have been up and down. I've said times they're definitely making the playoffs, where other times it just looks like they're completely done. But last night, with the win today, they jumped ahead of the Kansas City Royals, who are now 3 games back because of the Red Sox loss. So I think today, the way they played today and yesterday, and just the way they played very recently with, like Jake said, the Baby Bombers, I think they can make the playoffs.
Okie dokie. To the crosstown rival Mets, I'm not quite sure on their exact record. I think they're hovering around 500. They were leading tonight in Philly. Happy, where do they stand right now?
They actually did end up winning. They dominated today. Grand slam by Kelly Johnson, which was not really expected, but they currently stand 2.5 games back at a 66-63 record, which is they just moved. Their Marlins are a game, 1.5 games, as are the Pirates, back of the Cardinals, who stand at 68-60. What I see with the Mets, their problem is they can stay consistent for a long period of time. They're able to win one game, like, impressively. They've done it multiple times, but the past month, ever since the early July, they have not been able to put back-to-back performances. Last night and tonight were really the first nights I've seen the Mets play dominant in back-to-back games, and I think with multiple performances, Syndergaard's finally back. DeGrom's been average. Bartolo Colon's been the most consistent pitcher on the Mets. It's possible for the Mets to make it. Marlins, Stantonless, have been struggling. The Cardinals have been wishy-washy. And the Pirates, although have been good, I think the Mets can overtake them in due time.
I heard that Yoenis Cespedes also hit a 3-run home run today. Julia,
Yes, he
does
did.
that give you hope that the Mets are going to creep in?
When did I start getting hope? I started getting hope when we took the last 2 from the Giants. And then when we beat the Cardinals the first game, I was like, oh my gosh, wow, the Mets actually won a game against the Cardinals. They're in a race. And then they went and lost the next day. And DeGrom, as Happy said, didn't do that well, pitched very averagely. And we were really shocked because what I thought was going to happen in a 3-game series was who pitched the first game? Wait, Happy, who pitched the first game of the Cardinals series?
Oh, was that? Oh, okay. One moment. I'm pretty
Syndergaard
sure-
Syndergaard pitched tonight.
Yeah. So that
No,
I know
of the Cardinals.
the Sunday
Oh.
Sunday game was the game that Nice got injured, right?
No. Of the
Or was that
Cardinals.
the Friday game? Yeah, the Cardinals series. Wasn't that when Nice got injured and then Gesselman came in?
No, that wasn't the Cardinals.
That was one of the games because they ended up winning that game.
All
That
right,
was
yeah.
against
So
the
whatever
Cardinals.
happened was a bunch of nobodies for the Mets we've never heard of pitched great, and then DeGrom didn't do anything, which we're all really surprised about. So they take the rubber match from the Cardinals. So that was, it was great. And the week before, the Mets were just in such a skid, and everyone was, even I was saying, like, there's no chance, just we're done. But they really picked it up. Cespedes coming back really sparked their lineup, and as you said today, that was a bomb to left field. Oh my goodness, he has an amazing power, and I just want to say that trade from Michael Fulmer and Cespedes is such a win-win for us because I think Michael Fulmer for the Detroit Tigers could be National League Rookie of the Year just based on how well he's been playing, and Cespedes is definitely our MVP because when he's in that lineup, he just makes us 10 times better. And I know it's the Phillies, but they're a division team. We need to win. At this point, Mets just need to win every game. They need to go 8 of 10. They just need to keep winning. And if they keep going like they are, I think the Marlins lost today. Cardinals, I think, lost today. If the things just play out right and the Mets just keep winning, and I think we have a chance. And I'm really excited.
All right, easier said than done. When the Mets lose their next game, we'll talk, and we'll see how your emotions are then at the bottom of the roller coaster. Dan, it seems like the Red Sox offense is still hitting, but the pitching is coming along too. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the Red Sox are finally kind of finding some consistency.
Well, a little bit. We had a little skid in Tampa Bay earlier. We had some reason can't beat them this year, even though they stink. Last night was definitely rough. Stephen Wright gave up 5 runs in the first inning, and the offense gave no support. But tonight was awesome. Pedroia went like 5 for 5, I'm pretty sure, 4 for 4. Mookie Betts and Hanley Ramirez went back-to-back home runs, and that's the offensive support we need. David Price was a little shaky in the second inning, but was pretty good after that. And if we can keep that up, I think we can definitely be a playoff team. But the thing is, like, one day we'll have good pitching, but the offense will not be there, or good offense, and we have stinky pitching. So if we can get both sides of the baseball rolling, we will definitely be a contender.
Well, the Yankees will trade you Gary Sanchez because he'll hit a home run every other game. I'm only kidding. One last thing I'd like to touch on before we end tonight, hopefully before it's midnight, is Ganna, we're going to finish with you, and then anyone else who has any opinion on this, is the Oakland Raiders have filed for a few trademarks for the Los Angeles Raiders name, and they
Las
have
Vegas.
no, look, my apologies, slipped there. The Las Vegas Raiders, they also have proposed stadiums. Stadium diagrams have been posted, and they have been proposed to the public. But the owners are not willing to take anything less than $750 million in public funding. And the studies have shown that the public-funded stadiums typically do not end up producing the economic impact that is estimated when the plan is shown to the public. Surprise, surprise. But Gannon, if a football team, the Raiders, ended up coming to Las Vegas, do you think that would be received well? Would there be a market for it?
Oh, definitely. Me as a Las Vegas native, I would be psyched about it because Vegas. I mean, you look at they're the 27th most populous area in the entire United States. The fact that they have yet to receive a professional sports franchise is absolutely absurd to me. They have a lot of sports fans out here, and I understand, I guess, why they don't have a team right now, considering how their economy works. Basically, revolves around the gambling industry. So that could run into some issues. But they are bringing in a hockey franchise, and I don't think bringing in a football team would be much different. And I'm very excited about it.
Okay, well, there's the answer there. I was going to say something, but I forgot it. It'll probably come back to me. But anyone else want to pipe in on this issue? Rock the barn.
Yeah, I think Las Vegas should definitely have a football team, like Gannon said, a hockey team coming. It's a great place. It attracts a lot of people, and it'll attract a lot of ticket sales, which could help the Raiders and the hockey team. So I just think overall it'd be better to have a football team there.
Okay, well, I just remembered what I was going to say, and that is, even if they don't have a football team, they still do have Pawn Stars. And just when talking about teams that might deserve a football franchise, do remember Brooklyn is not in New York. Quote from our good friend Jacob Boss Kelly. Anyone else want to finish up with a quote, or we will?
I got something to say.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have. Here's my thing with Las Vegas. It's my one problem is that it's a 27th most populous city, but most of their revenue is tourism, gambling, and all the other stuff that goes on in Vegas. But I think it's still possible. Like Orlando was the same way back in the 90s when they were getting the Magic. No one really thought it would be possible because it's a tourist city, Disney, and all that. But it still happened. Now this is a much larger scale. A football team is much bigger fan base than a basketball team, but I still think it's very possible and should happen. Las Vegas deserves a football team if Green Bay can have one. I know Green Bay but Green Bay is a very small city.
Well, I agree with Happy. Julia, we'll get to you in a second, then Danimal. I agree with the fact that they're a populous city. They might deserve one. But if you're talking about the number one cause of economy there being tourism, it's like putting a football team in Hawaii that isn't Hawaii, if you know what I mean, because Hawaii's number one cause or factor in the economy is tourism. They have the Pro Bowl there. Obviously, that's been a complete bust. But I just don't think the economy is really sustained enough to have a football team there. I mean, you look at it; it's pretty much Vegas is a city that rises and falls with the tourism. Some weeks it's an absolute ghost town. Other times it looks like you're in the middle of New York City. I mean, it really does change, and I'm sure Gannon can attest to that. But I don't think it would be a particularly smart move, especially when football is the number one gambling sport in the United States. Probably the main reason that sports gambling has taken off in the country, to have it right near all that gambling, it just doesn't seem right. Julia, and then Danimal.
I was just going to say to your point about Green Bay, the reason they're able to have market for the Green Bay Packers is because all the football it's not like baseball where there's regional TV markets. It's with football, all of it's nationally broadcasted. So that's why Green Bay is able to sustain a market.
Yeah.
Plus, the Packers are good, so people watch.
Yeah, I'll just bring up like the smaller markets like Green Bay. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
person that came to mind.
Well, I think when you talk about football, it's different just because,
Yeah,
every team is nationally broadcasted. So.
the Green Bay fan base is probably the most loyal in the NFL, so they obviously deserve it.
Titletown and Cheeseheads. Danimal.
Well, on the topic of the Las Vegas Raiders, we've all been talking about Las Vegas, but we don't factor in Oakland here. Oakland has the black hole. Some of the loyal fans there, they've gone through like terrible years in Oakland, and they just started getting good.
Yes.
Las Vegas it'll be like a Laker game. They don't go for the game. They go for like a meet and greet. It's a social event. They just go to meet people there and then go party after. It will basically be that with the Lakers.
I'm sure the people of St. Louis can probably agree with that. They're losing their team to Los Angeles. And I do agree it would be a little bit of a backstab to the Oakland fans who have been waiting so long, and they're really looking on the rise this year, even though they do play on a Little League field half of the time. It would be a little bit of a disgrace to bring them to Las Vegas. I'd like to thank the panel for joining me this Saturday night, August 27th. Rock the barn before we go, I see.
September 1st is a big date for me. Hockey comes back. Huge news to me.
It's going to be huge. Absolutely huge. Okay, and with that, again, the panel, thank you for joining me today. Hope to see you and our very loyal following next time in Rock the Barn. We will talk about the World Cup of Hockey. No worries there. So, without really screwing this up any more than I already have, thank you for watching, and good night.